What's good, y'all? It's Trevant, and I'm coming at you guys with another video. The video for today is about us, the sons and daughters of the Most High, being workers of God's kingdom. The Messiah gave us all talents. We were all called to be workers and ambassadors of God's kingdom, and not be slothful in this thing. We was called to bring more souls to the King, and not be that servant that was not focused on building the kingdom of the Most High. As it says in Proverbs 11 verse 30, the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. We was called to be workers in this thing. We was called to bring more souls to the king, building the kingdom of Yah. At the end of the day, we supposed to be really making more soldiers for God's kingdom. This is a spiritual war. We don't supposed to be just sitting back like that servant that was being slothful concerning his Lord's money. As it says in Matthew's 25, verse 14 through 30. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability. So basically, their master gave them what they could do. At the end of the day, we're supposed to be focusing on building the kingdom of Yah, walking in righteousness, walking in holiness, and doing what we can do for God's kingdom. Look, to every man according to his several ability, basically what he could do. And straightway the master took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. At the end of the day, you don't want to be like this servant. But he that received one, went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. That servant that ain't building the kingdom, that servant that ain't focusing on bringing more souls to the king, that servant that ain't focused on doing things for the Most High, letting the Most High's will be done in his life. You don't want to be like that servant. Look, after a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoned with them. And so he that received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents, and behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. So when we look at this, we can see that his Lord blessed him with more. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. You will get blessed with more because of your righteousness, because of you focusing on building the kingdom, because of your work and being faithful. I will say we're not saved by our works, but you want to focus on building the kingdom. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. And his Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid. I'm gonna say this. In these last days, we got a lot of believers that are afraid to do things for the king. The Messiah did say, he said, if you deny me before men, I will deny you before my Father in heaven. And most people are doing it today. They're afraid to tell others about their faith. They're afraid to let people know who they stand for. Shoot, a lot of people are afraid to even make pages, Instagrams, and just do anything for the kingdom. Look, I was afraid and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received my own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which had 10 talents. For unto everyone that had shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that had, not shall be taken away, even that which he had. And cast ye that unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. At the end of the day, you're going to have to do works for God's kingdom. We was not made to just be slothful. Going back to Genesis, God told Adam this. He wanted him to dress the garden and to keep it. Basically, to be a worker in the garden. Basically, God gave Adam work to do. And that's how we supposed to do. That's how we supposed to be in this thing as his sons and daughters of light. It don't matter what you're doing, as long as you're doing some work for God's kingdom. Using your Instagram, using TikTok, YouTube videos, preaching the word in the world. Just focusing on being an ambassador and a worker of God's kingdom. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. We're focusing on trying our best to live righteous and holy to God, staying faithful to God. And on top of that, we got to be focusing on working for God because we want to show God our love towards him. The Messiah said this, that God was doing works in him. He told everyone when he was preaching that God was doing the work in him and to believe that God was with him. If you read Luke chapter 22, verse 41 through 43, you can see that the Messiah, he had to do work. Look, and he was withdrawn from them. That's talking about the disciples. About a stone cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. At the end of the day, the Messiah had to let the Most High's will be done in his life. He had to let the Father's wills be done in his life. And as servants, we got to do the same thing. Not our will be done, but God's. We got to focus on being ambassadors, building the kingdom, and not being like that servant that was hiding his Lord's money. As it says in Matthew 25, verse 24 through 25. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. The word tells us, God told the Israelites, fear not and be not dismayed. And as servants and his children, his sons and daughters of light, you can't fear what man gonna do to you. At the end of the day, persecution is supposed to happen. And even the Messiah, he went through the same stuff, He said, God, not my will be done, but yours. And an angel came and strengthened him. God gonna strengthen you, to keep fighting and to keep getting through these hardships. But you don't want to be like this servant, this servant that didn't want to do the work, that was hiding his Lord's money. Or you're gonna end up this is what's gonna happen to you if you ain't actually working. And cast ye that unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Look, as it says in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13 to 14, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. You got to fear God. You got to let his commandments be done in your life. Not our wills be done, but God's will be done.